Okay, welcome everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Kevin Sparks, and instead of giving a lot of detail, I'm going to go share my screen. When I say a lot of detail about myself. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick with you guys here in a moment. First thing I want to do is get everybody, make sure that everybody's on mute for the moment. We'll have opportunities to all talk with each other in a little while. Just want you on mute so we can be efficient in getting things going this morning or afternoon, depending on what part of the country you happen to live in. All right. So first thing I want to share with you is we have a Facebook group that coincides with the Monday through Friday, trainings that we do, discussions that we have, whatever you want to refer to them as, classes. You could refer to them as whatever you like. But I wanted to show you the Facebook group and give you an opportunity to join us and tell you why you might want to. First of all, if you're on Facebook, you can certainly look for it. It has the same name as the meetup groups. So I want to be really rich, and I do not apologize for it, is the name of the Facebook group. The reason you might want to actually join us is a couple things. One, I can save you some time when you might wonder, what is this group about? And who am I and what am I about? What's my background? I went ahead and put together right here, it says announcement one, it should be pinned to the top, is a video that tells you about the group and gives you a little bit about my background and why it is that this might be helpful for you. But also, as you can see, for instance, here was yesterday, the 12th, here was the day before, the 11th, here was the day before, the 10th. What we're doing is we're taking the recordings of each day and we're putting them into the Facebook group. That way, if you miss a day, you know where you can go to find it. Or if you really like something that you heard, you can go back and review it. So to try and make things a little bit simpler for you, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hop into chat really quick and paste the Facebook URL so you could go ahead and join us. Now, if that's going to kick you out of Zoom, don't click on it right now. Click on it, right before we go. But if you can click on it and stay on Zoom at the same time, that might be a good idea for you. And not only will we have the recordings, but this is also another place where we can interact with each other. Okay, so that's why I wanted to share that with you. Next thing I want to go ahead and share with you is something that we're currently in the process of studying right now together. What we're doing right now is we're studying a book, and no, that's not what we're spending all of our time doing. We're in the book. Uh, we'll go through this book a little bit each day, and we'll move on to different materials. I have lots of them. Not all of them are books. Sometimes they're videos. Sometimes they're courses. Um, I guess I'll give a short background, but I'll keep it really brief for me. I've been trained and mentored by many, many people. However, I've spent the most time being personally mentored by a gentleman by the name of Robert Kiyosaki. He is the author of Rich Dad Poor Dad and the creator of the Cash Flow Game. Maybe you've heard of him, maybe you haven't. You can look him up. Definitely someone who's influenced me as far as learning how to run businesses and be an entrepreneur and understand money and investing. And another mentor of mine you may have heard of is a gentleman by the name of Bob Proctor. Bob Proctor wrote a book called You're Born Rich. He's also heavily highlighted in the movie, in the book, The Secret. And Bob Proctor has been in the field of personal development pretty much since about started studying things related to the law of attraction at about age 27. And now he's 86, 87 years old. And he has never veered off of that path of teaching people and sharing with them how they can become whatever they want to become, do whatever they want to do, and have whatever they want to have. So I've got the opportunity to work very closely with both of these people. I worked with Robert Kiyosaki and Sharon Lechter and helped them do some things to grow their business once upon a time, and got to see the inner workings of what they do and learned a lot from them. And then Bob Proctor is somebody that I actually learned from and hired to be a coach of mine. And in the process was trained how to be a coach for his programs. And so at once upon a time, I was a Bob Proctor coach and facilitator. Now I'm independent. However, I'm still in touch with um, that organization, and I have a lot of friends that are coaches and people that I mastermind with that have been trained in the same way. So, all right, there's more in the video, but keep that brief. But the reason I want to bring all of this up is we're studying this book. Why? First of all, the movie The Secret, Rhonda Byrne actually was given this book by her daughter. And after reading the book, it was the impetus for Rhonda Byrne to actually go ahead and say, I'm going to create the movie The Secret. And that is what she did as a result of reading that. And we know how many people, well, those of you who've heard of the movie The Secret or the book The Secret, great. If you haven't, you might want to go find it. The movie itself, you can probably find on Netflix right now. But there have been millions and millions of people throughout the world since 2006 when that movie got released that have been influenced by The Secret, and has led a lot more people to study and learn about the law of attraction since then. Bob Proctor was given the book by mentors of his, Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant. Those two gentlemen founded the Nightingale Conant Corporation, which was the first producer of personal development materials. And they did that as a result of reading the book, The Science of Getting Rich. Bob Proctor, the first book he was given was Think and Grow Rich. However, that he's read every day of his life now for about 60 years. Pretty incredible. He's read some of it. But once Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant gave him The Science of Getting Rich, he took it upon himself to also study that book and reads a little bit every day from it, and has since he received that particular book. Myself, I was introduced to the book by somebody who was a Bob Proctor coach and facilitator many years ago. Just a little bit prior to the movie The Secret coming out, I was introduced to the book. I went to a seminar for 3 days called The Science of Getting Rich, which was based upon this material. And then after that 3 days, Leslie Householder was the coach and mentor at the time. She's independent also at this point. But Leslie Householder gave me also a self-study program when I took that seminar to continue on with studying the material. And within the self-study program, that was created by Bob and has his workbook and audios and things like that. And then I took that particular material after the 3-day seminar, loved it, spent about the next 90 days really diving into it, spending an hour or two a day, and reprogramming myself. And my income went from an average of $5,000 or $6,000 a month to, after that 3 months, I quit my job. And for the next 8 months of the year, my income averaged, it was up, it went up and down a bit, but the average over the next 8 months was 50 grand a month. So I'm telling you right now that this book is powerful for you if you let it be. Again, it won't be the only thing we discuss, but that is why we're taking time to discuss it right now. You can get yourself a free copy of the book by going to Rhonda Byrne's website. But what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put the URL in the chat here really quick, because that's where I went ahead and found the copy of this, was her website. Or I shouldn't say found, I've had the copy for a long time, but found this particular copy that I could share with everybody. That way you can get it for free. So you can get it for free at her website. It's the one that I have up on my screen right now, instead of throwing up a paperback book. That'd be kind of silly. And within the PDF file of this book, we're on page 37. I don't know if it's page 37 of the book itself, but it is page 37 of the PDF. Now, what you can do is, again, join our Facebook group, and then you can have access to the previous recordings and get caught up with us. The other thing is, go get this book, download it, and get yourself caught up by reading what we've gone through up till now. I highly recommend you go through the recordings, though, because we have discussion around it, and I add some commentary and things that I think will be helpful to you guys in making as much money as you want to make and having as much wealth as you'd really like to have, and helping you manifest those things in your life. What we're going to do is, first of all, I'm not going to be looking at chat for a while. That way I can stay on track with what I'm doing here in helping you guys out. But we are going to have the opportunity to interact with each other. I usually try to leave the last 10 to 15 minutes to have that interaction with you. That'll be an opportunity for you to share comments, maybe share your experiences if you like to, and even ask questions, which that seems to be what a lot of people want to do. When we're done after the 45 minutes or so that we've been together, if I'm in the mood to do so and people stop questions, what I'll do is I'll shut the recording off at that point. Those of you that have other things to do, you can go, and I'll stick around maybe for 10 or 15 minutes longer till the top of the hour. And it seems like about half the group usually sticks around and likes doing that. So, okie dokie. Want to go ahead and get rolling with this. Thinking in a certain way. Let me move something on my screen here. Okay. Turn back to chapter 6. Oh, let me tell you something else about the book real quick. It was written by a gentleman by the name of Wallace Wattles, and it was published first in 1910. So he's going to speak a little bit differently than we do. And, the pronouns that he uses are male dominated. Don't let that bother you, please. Okay. We understand that he means him and or her, and he means, people. Okay. So as I read it, I may comment it that way. Who knows? Let's just go. Turn back to chapter 6 and read again the story of the man who formed a mental image of his house, and you will get a fair idea of the initial step toward getting rich. You must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself. You must have it before you can give it. And many people fail to impress thinking substance because they have themselves only a vague and misty concept of the things they want to do, to have, or to become. Okay, so for those who this is your first time with us, thinking substance, Wallace Wattles, the author, is going to refer to this same thing potentially. He'll say thinking substance, he'll say formless substance, he'll say the original substance. Let me share with you in our speak, for somebody who's, a scientist, a scientist would refer to it as energy or matter. Okay, energy, matter, essentially the same thing. So he's talking about impressing something upon thinking substance. What do we mean by that? I'm going to make a distinction that I believe could be helpful for you. You don't have to believe the way I do. Okay, this will still all work for you. But I don't think of the stuff that everything's made out of and God to be the same thing necessarily. Thinking substance, when we say thinking substance, it is matter or energy. And what it does is it responds to our thought and our vibration. So whenever we're thinking something, we're putting out a vibration. It's either a happy, positive vibration or a not so happy, not so good vibration, depending on what we're thinking at the moment. Okay. Matter, here's what most people don't understand, and this is what you're going to be learning, is energy, matter, actually responds to our thoughts. It responds to the vibration that we're emanating, and it mirrors back to us in bringing things into our life, that which we're emanating through vibration, which is coming through our thoughts. Okay, and our thoughts are creating the feeling, which creates that vibration. So it responds in like kind and brings it to us in our life and helps us receive whatever it is that we're thinking. Okay. God, who's God? I'm not pretending I know everything. Okay. This is my impression of who God is. I personally believe that we as human beings are going to continue to live after we die in these mortal bodies here on earth. I don't think we're just going to poof out of existence. I believe that we're going to continue on. Okay. I believe currently we're here in the process of learning how to manifest things and create things. And when I say create, it's probably more organized so that the thinking substance actually responds to us and we end up with what we want. So we're in the process of learning how to do this. And we're going to get better and better and better and better at doing it. Many people do really well with it, and they manifest mostly that which they want in their lives. However, things don't always happen perfectly or instantaneously. I believe God is someone who has already been through what we're going through right now. Okay. I believe he had the opportunity to experience a life very similar to us, and that he has since passed to the next stage. And I don't know how many more stages to go after that. But here's what I believe. Thinking substance, matter, energy responds directly to his command, his thoughts and his feelings instantaneously if he wants it to, because he has learned all the laws that govern the universe, and he has learned how to work with this substance, and he's learned how to impress only what he wants. Also, he doesn't, by the way, I say he, you can think of, God however you like. I'm using that pronoun. I believe that he, again, is a person very much like us, so I'm referring to him as he. Okay. How long did he take to become like he is today, understanding perfectly how the laws work in having a thinking substance, having matter, having energy respond to him instantaneously if he chooses it to? I don't know. It doesn't really matter. I believe that we've existed as intelligences for ever, basically, and that we're in the process of developing. And I believe that God has set a pattern here for us to follow, and he does it perfectly. He may have already gone another 1,000 years, maybe it was another 100,000, maybe it was millions of years before he became the master that he is in manifesting whatever he wants. That's why we call things created. But again, energy and matter is not something that can be created, nor is it something that can be destroyed. It is just something that can be organized. And it is organized by thought being impressed upon it. Okay, that's how it responds. And God does this perfectly. We're here to learn how to live our life the best that we can while we spend our time here on earth and while we're waiting for the next step in our progression. And whether we live a life that we enjoy or live a life that is painful and upsetting and hurtful all the time is going to be in direct response to our thoughts and our feelings. So we have to learn how to program ourselves in such a way, because we're on autopilot because of our subconscious mind, to change our beliefs. Our beliefs cause us to think a certain way. The way we think causes us to feel a certain way. The way we feel causes thinking substance, formless substance, matter to respond to us, and the world responds to us in a certain way. It's all by law, the laws of the universe, but it only responds to us. It doesn't give us anything that we didn't emanate in the first place. Might be a little bit tough concept to understand, but if you're feeling good, you're bringing good to you. If you're feeling bad, you're bringing bad things to you. Thank goodness for us, it's not instantaneous. Thank goodness for us that things don't show up for us the same way they show up for God, because God knows what he's doing right now. We don't necessarily know how. It would be like giving an infant the keys to a Ferrari and putting them on a crowded freeway and having them try and drive it. Absolutely impossible. God can drive the Ferrari on the freeway without having accidents because he's already learned how to do it. We, though, are capable of doing what he does. We just haven't learned how to do it yet, but we will unfold into that. Those are my personal beliefs. You must have it. Okay, so let's go back to the previous statement here. You must form a clear and definite mental picture of what you want. You cannot transmit an idea unless you have it yourself. You must have it before you can give it, and many people fail to impress thinking substance because they have themselves only a vague and misty concept of the things they want to do, to have, or to become. It is not good enough that you should have a general desire for wealth to do good with. Everybody has that desire. It is not enough that you should have a wish to travel, to see things, live more, etc. Pretty much everybody has those desires too. If you were going to send a wireless message to a friend, you would not send the letters of the alphabet in their order and let him construct the message for himself, nor would you take words at random from the dictionary. You would send a coherent sentence, one which meant something. When you try to impress your wants upon substance, remember that it must be done by a coherent statement. And it's not strictly the words, okay, but it's getting it clear in your vision of who you are and in your mind of what it is you really want, and getting the good positive feeling about it. Words help us do that. Words are important because words create pictures. Right now, if I say, don't see a purple cow, do not see a purple cow, do not see a purple cow. Some of you probably saw briefly a purple cow. Even though I said, do not see a purple cow, do not see a purple cow, do not see a purple cow. Why did that happen? I didn't show a picture of a purple cow to you. I said something. I said words in a certain order, and the words in that order gave you an image of a purple cow. Now, interestingly enough, every one of our images of that purple cow was probably a little bit different. Some might have seen it as a cartoon character. And just because I said that, some of you are now doing that. Some of you saw an actual cow because you've been around cows on farms and you saw what one would look like if it was purple. Okay, and who knows what else we saw. But by saying don't see a purple cow, it didn't matter if I said do or don't. The purple cow is what you ended up seeing in some way, shape, or form. At least most of you did. Okay. So when you try to impress your wants upon substance, remember that it must be done by a coherent statement. You must know what you want and be definite. You can never get rich or start the creative power into action by sending out unformed longings and vague desires. Go over your desires just as the man I've described, that was in chapter 6, went over his house, and see just what you want and get a clear mental picture of it as you wish it to look when you get it. The clear mental picture you must have continually in mind. So you don't just have this at one time, okay? But you refer back to it. As the sailor has in mind the port toward which he is sailing, the ship, you must keep your face toward it all the time. You must no more lose sight of it than the steersman lose sight of the compass. Now, what do I mean, or what does he mean by all the time? Like that's the only thing you think about? Not 100%. We've got to live our life, right? But what we don't do is we don't keep changing the picture. And when we refer back to the picture, we come back to the same image and we become more certain and more sure about it. And then as we become more certain and more sure about it and we quit changing it around, it will start to impress on formless substance and ultimately show up in our life. And the previous chapters talk a bit about how that happens. So again, refer back to reading the book and or going through the other videos recordings so you can get caught up. It is not necessary to take exercises in concentration, nor to set apart special times for prayer and affirmation, nor to go into the silence, nor to do occult stunts of any kind. These things are well enough, but all you need is to know what you want and to want it badly enough so that it will stay in your thoughts. Okay? Spend as much of your leisure time as you can in contemplating your picture. But no one needs to take exercises to concentrate his mind on a thing which he really wants. It is the things you do not really care about which require effort to fix your attention upon them. And unless you really want to get rich, so that the desire is strong enough to hold your thoughts directed to the purpose, as the magnetic pole holds the needle of the compass, it will hardly be worthwhile for you to try to carry out the instructions given in this book. Okay, real briefly, why do we want to be rich? Why do we want money? Because we need to use things to help us unfold who we are. Okay, what do I mean by that? We all have desires within us to be more than we currently are, to do more than we've currently done, or it's not just more, to do things, maybe more of them, but to do things we have not yet done, and to have things we've not yet had, okay? Or maybe we've had and we would like to have more. It's not about accumulating piles of cash necessarily. Some of you may want that, but you probably don't really want that. You want what the cash will afford you, okay? You want what the wealth will give you, which is freedom and options and things. And why do you want that? Because up until this point, you've been restrained by the limited amount of money, whatever that is. It's different for everybody, but the limited amount of money and wealth that you have, because you need the use of things to become all you can become, to do all you want to do, and to have all you can have. I'm going to use a example quick. I've used it the last couple of days, but if somebody has the ability to be a concert pianist, let's say this is a child and the child is, I don't know, 4 to 6 years old. Let's give them a little bit older. Let's say maybe they're, 7, 8, 9 years old. Okay. They're already in elementary school at that age, and they've made up their mind that they love music and they really like the piano and want to learn how to play it, and maybe even know a little bit intuitively how to do so. If a child has the ability to unfold and become a concert pianist, how would we even know that? And how could that child even do that if that child had no piano to play, right? Why would the child not have a piano to play? Probably at that age, because he doesn't have the money to buy it or she doesn't have the money to buy it. But okay, what about the parents? Well, maybe they don't have the money for it either. Maybe they don't have the space for it in their place that they live. All right. Well, what about the neighbors? Well, neighbors may or may not have a piano, but let's pretend they do. Maybe they're not willing to share their piano. Okay. Or maybe they would allow the child to use the piano, but they're not going to have the child over the amount of time to play the piano. Maybe they'll let the child come over once a day, or maybe once a week or once a month, who knows? But the child, in order to become a concert pianist and to unfold into that which he or she is capable of becoming, probably would be playing the piano 2, 3, 4 hours a day. So because the situation, because the money's not there or the space isn't there, or whatever, all of these things that we're talking about could be fixed by having the money to buy the place and or buy the piano. Okay. And what if the child needed some lessons too, to become all that that child could become, so they could be a great concert pianist? Maybe that could turn out to be their profession. Again, only possible with the use of the piano. Only possible if they have money to buy it and or rent it, or they have the ability to use one often enough so that this child can become the concert pianist the child wants to become. But the child would, and parents would never know that he or she could become a concert pianist without the piano. The one thing is the child, him or herself, is going to probably feel some depression. They're going to feel limited. They're going to feel stuck. They're going to feel probably upset, because the very strong desire to play that piano is coming from the ability inside this particular child to actually become an amazing concert pianist. So why do we need to become rich, guys and gals? We need to become rich so that we have the ability to buy the things necessary for us to unfold into who we're capable of becoming. Okay. That's why we need to have lots of money, potentially, and lots of wealth. So we have the ability to buy or rent without needing to ask permission of anybody to do so. If we want a piano, we want to be able to buy that piano. We don't want to be impeded by anything. We don't want to have to rely on somebody else. We don't want to do things on their timetable. We want to do things on our timetable. And having money to do it would make that pretty easy. But not having the money to do that would cause, again, an upset for us, especially when we have the strong desire to become something, to do something, or to have something. So unless you really want to get rich, so that the desire is strong enough to hold your thoughts directed to the purpose as a magnetic pole holds the needle of the compass, it will hardly be worthwhile for you to try to carry out the instructions given in this book. The methods herein set forth are for people whose desire for riches is strong enough to overcome mental laziness and the love of ease and make them work. And hang on, I'm going to come out of screen share for just a second. Okay, I'm good. I thought I forgot to record, which wouldn't have been great, but I did hit record. Okay. The methods herein set forth are for people whose desire for riches is strong enough to overcome mental laziness and the love of ease and to make them work. The more clear and definite you make your picture, then, the more you dwell upon it, and the more you dwell upon it, bringing out all its delightful details, the stronger your desire will be. And the stronger your desire, the easier it will be to hold your mind fixed upon the picture of what you want. Something more is necessary, however, than merely to see the picture clearly. If that is all you do, you're only a dreamer and will have little or no power for accomplishment. Behind your clear vision must be the purpose to realize it, to bring it out into tangible expression. And behold, this purpose must be an invincible and unwavering faith that the thing is already yours, that it is at hand, and that you have only to take possession of it. Okay? Think about that one for a moment. And behind this purpose must be the invincible and unwavering faith that the thing is already yours. It hasn't shown up physically yet, but in your mind and in your heart, in your feelings, it's already yours, that it is at hand and you have only to take possession of it. Live in the new house mentally until it takes form around you physically. In the mental realm, enter at once into full enjoyment of the things you want. Why would you want to do that? Well, if you're enjoying what it is that you want and you're in the mental realm, you enter at once into enjoying what it is because you already have it in your mind and in your heart. That enjoyment is putting off a vibration into formless substance, and formless substance needs to respond. It will organize because it does influence people. Okay, it will organize things to happen so that it'll come to you. And in previous chapters, Wallace Wattles, the author of this book, gave some examples of that. Whatsoever things ye ask for when ye pray, believe that ye receive them. So you're believing that you receive them as you're praying, okay? And ye shall have them, said Jesus. See the things you want as if they were actually around you all the time. See yourself as owning and using them. Use your imagination, okay? Just as you will use them when they're in your tangible possessions. Dwell upon your mental picture until it is clear and distinct, not fuzzy. And then make the mental attitude of ownership toward everything in that picture. It's yours already. Take possession of it in mind, in the full faith that it is actually yours. Hold to the mental ownership. Do not waver for an instant in the faith that it is real. And remember what is said in a preceding chapter about gratitude. Be as thankful for it all the time as you expect to be when it has taken form. The man who can sincerely thank God for the things which he yet owns only in imagination has faith, has real faith. He will get rich. He will cause the creation of whatsoever he wants. Now, you do not need to pray repeatedly for things you want. It's not necessary to tell God about it every day. Use not vain repetitions as the heathen do, said Jesus, said to his pupils, for your Father knoweth that you have need of these things before you ask him. Here's your part. Your part is to intelligently formulate your desire for the things which make for a larger life, and to get these desires arranged in a coherent whole. Make it clear. And then to impress this whole desire upon formless substance, which has the power and the will it wants to bring you what you want. You do not make this impression by repeating strings of words. Those are actually affirmations. They're to help you believe, but they're not necessarily for you to say, please, 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 all the time. You do not make this impression by repeating strings of words. You make it by holding the vision with unshakable purpose to attain it, and with steadfast faith that you do attain it. And if you go back to yesterday's chapter on gratitude, that helps you understand how to increase your faith. The answer to prayer is not according to your faith while you're talking, but it's according to your faith while you're working. You cannot impress the mind of God by having a special Sabbath day set apart to tell him what you want, and then forgetting him during the rest of the week. By the way, again, I shared the distinction, right? God and formless. Formless substance reacts to and responds to our thoughts, which create a vibration, which is impressed on formless substance. God, though, is the person or the entity, however, okay, I believe a person, but God is here to help us out. So what is his purpose? His purpose is to help us receive personal inspiration, revelation, and intuition. He's the one that helps us know what we're supposed to do to go receive what it is that formless substance is helping to bring about. Think about that one for a minute. God's already been there, done that. He knows how all this works, and he's trying to help teach us to become like he is so that we can go ahead and move on in our process of development and unfoldment to become all that we're capable of becoming. So he's there cheering us on, but we have to be in the right vibration, or else we're not going to receive that personal revelation, inspiration, and the intuition we need so that we know how to do what we need to do to receive what it is that we really want. And we're not going to impress the mind of God either. So we're putting these thoughts and feelings out. God and formless substance get the vibration, okay? But you're not going to impress the mind of God by having a special Sabbath day set apart to tell him what you want, and then forgetting him during the rest of the week. You cannot impress him by having special hours to go into your closet and pray if you then dismiss the matter from your mind until the hour of prayer comes again. Oral prayer is well enough, and here's the reason for it. And it has its effect, especially upon yourself, in clarifying your vision and strengthening your faith. But it's not your oral petitions which get you what you want. In order to get rich, you do not need a sweet hour of prayer. You need to pray without ceasing. And by prayer, I mean holding steady to your vision with the purpose to cause its creation into solid form, and the faith that you're doing so. Believe that you receive them. The whole matter turns on receiving once you have clearly formed your vision. When you've formed it, it is well to make an oral statement, okay, addressing the supreme in reverent prayer. And from that moment, you must, in mind, receive what you ask for. Let me get a quick drink here. Excuse me a moment. Okay. Live in the new house, wear the fine clothes, ride in the automobile, go on the journey, and confidently plan for greater journeys. Think and speak of all things you have asked for in terms of actual present ownership. Imagine an environment, use your imagination, guys. Imagine an environment and a financial condition exactly as you want them, and live all the time in that imaginary environment and financial condition. Mind, however, that you do not do this as a mere dreamer and castle builder. Hold to the faith that the imaginary is being realized, and to the purpose to realize it. Remember that it is faith and purpose in the use of the imagination. That's what you combine with imagination, which makes the difference between the scientist and the dreamer. And again, this book is called The Science of Getting Rich, right? And having learned this fact, it is here that you will learn the proper use of the will. Okay. We are going to stop there with the reading. And so here's what we're going to do now. We don't have a lot of time left. Well, I'm going to stay till the top of the hour, but as far as obviously the class itself, the session we're having, whatever you want to call it, that'll be done in just a few minutes. So, but I'm going to open it up for you guys to share comments, share experiences if you like, share any ahas you might have, ask questions around what we read, or ask any general type questions that may be coming to you right now. If you'd like to do that, here's what I ask that you do. Just go ahead and take yourself off mute and we'll start speaking. If two of you come off at the same time, the first one that says something will go ahead and go, and then we'll have the next person after that and so forth. I'm going to keep the recording running for a few more minutes for those, well, for you guys, so you can go review that, but also for those who've missed this. And then I'll turn it off. And like I said, we'll probably continue for a little bit longer. So who has something they feel that they would like to share? Again, either a comment, an experience, ahas that you've had, or questions that you might have. Go ahead if you've got something. Please share. Everybody's got this figured out. You guys have all the money and wealth that you could possibly need to do everything you want to do. Okay.
I guess I'll go.
Okay.
So when when they talk about like forming an image in your mind, is that like, I mean, is it literally like, like when you're focusing on something and then you can obviously visually see it, but then like imprinting that, like when you close your eyes, kind of like, I don't know if you want to call it like suspended animation or like just kind of like the concept of like holding an image in your mind.
Okay. Here's what I would like to share with you guys above, I won't say above and beyond what Wallace Wattles is talking about, but something that helped me quite a bit understand this better. Because when I think of law of attraction, right, you hear we're a magnet, we're this, we're that, we're all this other stuff. So I feel like I'm trying to pull something to me, right? Or I'm putting on cologne because I want someone to think I smell good, right? I mean, all the things that our brain goes to that says, based on our old experience, what attraction is. I'm trying to attract something to me, right? And so I've got to do something to do that. And, so I need to visualize something. When I tried to just visualize, for example, cars, houses, things like that, I could stare at a car and a house forever. And if I don't see myself as being the owner of that car, house, or whatever, and actually using that car, house, nothing's really going to happen, no matter how many times I stare at the car or the house. We stare at red lights in traffic all day long, right? Have you ever turned into a red light? Right? Do you have a red light sitting in your house somewhere? Probably not. Now, if you think bad thoughts about red lights, you probably get stuck at them a lot. Okay. But my point is, the better way to do this, in my opinion, that has worked for me is to play it out in imagination like I kind of would as a kid, but not thinking of it as imaginary. Thinking about it as if it is real and living in that space in my mind. I tell people, hey, you know what? Don't think of visualization as a movie that you're watching. Think of it as a movie that you're participating in. In other words, if you're in a movie that you're participating in, right? Unless you pass by a mirror, you don't see your face, do you? If you're driving a car, you see your hands in front of you. If you're knocking on a door, you see yourself knocking on a door. If you're in your kitchen because you got this beautiful brand new home that you wanted, and you're making a meal because that's what you want to do in this beautiful kitchen, you see and feel yourself making the meal in the kitchen, but you're doing it. You're not seeing, you're not watching, hey, there's me in the future, or there's me in the past, or there's whatever. You're not watching you do something like you would if you were watching a movie. And let's say you watched a movie you had acted in and then you watch it later, right? That's what you would be doing. But no, you are living in the movie itself. So when you want to impress something, basically what is being said here is, first of all, you do have to decide what it is that you want. And it's better to get clear on that And don't be concerned. I used to have FOMO, fear of missing out. I thought if I made a choice, that means I'm deciding I don't want any of the other things I want, or they're not as important right now, or whatever. For all of our purposes of learning how this all works anyway, pick something that's important to you, that matters. Pick something that would, if you were to write a list out of what's most important, pick something that's in your top 1, 2, or 3 and make that, but go imaginary, live it. I'm going to share, okay, what do we got here? I'm going to shut the recording off. That I don't want to keep people longer than, I said. So if you had to go at the end of our, 45 minutes, that's fine. Hopefully we'll see you on Monday.